What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Killshot podcast on DFS Army. I am your boy, Monk, and this week I'm rocking it solo because Sniper is taking a much-needed and well-deserved vacation with his family. So if you're out there, Sniper, I hope you're having a fantastic time. And don't worry, you didn't miss much this week with Ufc Shanghai. Look at this fantastic freaking thumbnail that we got going on. Shout out to Brady at DFS Army. Fantastic. I absolutely love it. This week, guys, we got some interesting fights. We're going to be going over all 12 of them regarding DFS strategy. So hopefully I covered it pretty well post-recording this intro, actually. So I already talked about all 12 fights, and I cannot wait for you guys to get into it this week with me. And last week was an interesting week. Some of us picked Dricus du Plessis to win. Some of us did that. However, some of us did stack the main event, so we still got 243 points from Khamzat. What an incredible fight, guys. It just goes to show that someone with takedown control time and a ton of non-significant strikes, which is what I've been preaching forever, has the best possible path to DFS gold, and that's exactly what we saw with Khamzat. Nailed the kill shot with Lerone Murphy. That was fantastic. When are we going to stop trusting Bellator, guys? Guys, when? When is it going to happen? Movsar Evloev would have absolutely fucking killed him, by the way. Anyways, that is what we're getting into this week. I don't remember what Sniper's kill shot was last week. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we did talk up Tim Elliott a little bit. I don't know if we talked up Joseph Morales. We should have seen that coming, to be quite honest. But anyways, I'm just babbling at this point. Let's get into UFC Shanghai happening on Saturday, August something. And have a good one, Sniper. Hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you in the outro. First fight of the night, Sati Baldv. Sorry, fixing my mic cord. Taking on Nurgai. That's the best I'm going to do all night with these names. I'm sure of it. This one is taking place light heavyweight, so salty. I keep calling him salty. Sati Baldv, there we go. Did fight his first fight at heavyweight, Martin Buday, and he got pretty much, I'm going to use the word dominated here. 4 strikes a minute to 2.4, basically. No takedowns landed. Buday cage control 5 minutes to 20 seconds. And Uran did not look good whatsoever. Half of his stats, or actually all of his stats, are terrible. Offensively and pretty much defensively, other than his 100% takedown defense, because he did stuff one attempt from Martin Buday. So that's definitely going to be called into question here against Nurgai. Lost to Brenson Hibeto. Took him down twice, 49 seconds of control time, but Hibeto outstruck him almost 2-1 and then landed a knockdown and finished the fight. So it's going to be Nurgai's grappling versus Sati Baldv's ability to stop takedowns and hopefully land a KO finish. That's pretty much what we're looking at here. Guys, we're going to try to fly through this pretty quickly. It's UFC Shanghai. We're going quick. Not too many great fights on this card, although that does not mean it will not be a fun card, as most fights, most cards that look like this end up being the fun ones. So Nurgai absorbs more strikes than he lands. He does have about, 0.7 takedowns per 5 minutes, controls majority of the control time at 64%. Uran is completely the opposite. Has been doubled up by Buday. I only have one fight worth of UFC stats. You just heard him. Buday controlled him 94% of all control time in that one. Sati Baldv has 7 finishes and 9 wins. 6 by KO, 1 via submission, whereas DR has 6 finishes, actually 9 finishes out of 10 wins, 6 by KO, TKO, and 2 by submission. So we're looking at the grappling upside for Nurgai, and we're looking at the finishing upside on the feet likely for Sati Baldv. I believe he was the LFA champion before he came over to the UFC and promptly lost to Buday, who is somehow not in the UFC anymore. I do not understand how they do things, but whatever. This fight should be an okay one to target as far as DraftKings goes. I have no idea. I picked Sati Baldv, a 3-star fight. It's going to be an interesting matchup, but it's extremely volatile. Do not play this in cash games whatsoever, and you'll probably be just fine. So play a little bit in GPPs, both sides. I'm picking the favorite in Uran. And let's see, no one scores really well at all. In DWCS fight, Nurgai would have scored 92 points in 8 minutes. That's decent. I don't know what his salary would have been, so we can't really call it, great if it's not. And in his loss to Hibeto, he did put up like 19 points in about 6 minutes, so that is pretty good. Again, we're looking for the takedown upside there, and we will see if Uran can indeed continue stuffing takedowns, because we know Budai was never much of a takedown threat, to be completely honest. His tons of control time, but that all came from cage control, standing control, etc. So is Dier going to be able to take Uran down? That's the issue here, and maybe we'll actually see some offense from Sati Baldv, because we haven't seen any thus far. So give me Uran to win, but again, extremely volatile, would not touch this in cash. All right. Yong Yu taking on Xiaolong, and this is going to be an interesting one. As you can see, both guys have what appears to be a tremendous amount of UFC fights, 4 and 5 for two relatively unknown names. However, two of them on Yu's side were road to the UFC fights, and I believe, decisions in both of those. Has been to decisions in all 4 fights that he has stats for. Beat AJ Cunningham pretty soundly while throwing 18 strikes in 15 minutes, but he did land 5 of 10 takedowns, 8 minutes of control time. Taking on Gilasi, he won the fight via decision, allowed 9 strikes, that's it. 2 of 5 takedowns, 5 minutes of control, was taken down once, but was immediately up, and he only conceded 17 seconds of control time. Look at these numbers, non-significant strikes, guys. As we've seen over the weekend, the best possible scoring path outside of a first-round finish, other than a gazillion takedowns or 17 knockouts like Stephen Wynn landed, is the combination of strong wrestling / strong control and the ability to land non-significant strikes when you're on the ground. Khamzat just set a record for the amount of points he scored, and that's exactly how he did it. He landed like 500 strikes in that fight, guys, but it was like 37 significant strikes. That's it. The rest were non-significant strikes. It's just 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, over and over and over again. It is fantastic when you see the final score, especially if it goes all 15, all 25 minutes. This is how Mackenzie Dern scores a ton of points. This is how several others score a ton of points. Must be 11 o'clock. My lights just turned off, so there we go. We are back. But that's how many other people score a ton of points. It is takedowns, it is control time, and it is non-significant strikes, guys. And Yong Yu, that's right in his wheelhouse. 51% non-significant strikes, 92% in one of his road to the UFC fights. That is what we are looking for here against Xiaolong, who beat Kwang Lee, landing 8 strikes a minute, lost to Chang Ho Lee, landing 4.5 strikes, but that's what he does. He is a pretty high-volume striker, does throw the occasional takedown, in fact, maybe more than occasional, as he has 10 attempts in his last 4 UFC / road to the UFC fights. Control time has been there a little bit. I mean, 6.5 minutes, 3 minutes, 6.5 minutes. Just 26 seconds in the last one, even though it did last 11.5 minutes. What does he do? 9 submissions, submission wins, 5 KO TKO wins, and Yong Yu obviously more of the grappler, but does have a couple of KO TKOs on his own. Now, the offensive striking stats are complete opposites for these two, as Xiaolong is the one landing with much more volume at 5.4 strikes a minute compared to 1.88. But he gives up 4.27, while Yong Yu gives up basically 0. These defensive numbers are fantastic. If you've never seen this video before, and yes, we are posting this to DFS Army, so you guys are seeing these numbers. This is what I look at every time I do the show, right? I mean, obviously I do my write-ups. I kind of know what I'm going to say beforehand, but this is what I'm looking at when I'm going through each and every fight with Sniper. By the way, shout out to Sniper. Hope you're having fun on your cruise, bud, but these are all percentile points. So the striking defense for Yong Yu is 98th percentile out of everyone in the UFC that's ever fought since like beginning of 2001 when they changed the unified rule set. On the other side, like I said, we are opposites here. No defense in major categories from Xiaolong. He is 3-2, but he has been exposed. The takedown defense is 77%. He does control most of the grappling time, but still 4.27 strikes a minute, and just because he controls grappling time doesn't mean he doesn't give it up. 1.5, almost 2 minutes there, 5 minutes in the road to the UFC, 1.5 as well, and he's getting taken down in each and every fight. Now, it's a 77% takedown defense because I believe this number is going to be 53. The amount of takedown attempts that he has faced, we don't know yet. 48, I guess. What did I come up with 53? I don't know. 48 takedown attempts in his 5 road to the UFC / UFC fights, and people have landed 3, 6, 7 of them. So that could easily be exposed here against Yong Yu. He should pursue that avenue as far as winning the fight. when both guys score, or when both guys win, neither one scores very well. Xiaolong did make the optimal lineup, and actually so did his opponent in his one loss. So Cheng Ho Lee made optimal, scoring 94.64 points at 7,900. And then Quang Li made the optimal, Xiaolong made the optimal in his win, scoring 91.5 with an $8,200 salary that week. So that's kind of what we are looking for here. Although the salaries are much, much different. And yes, I do scroll all over the place. I apologize. Actually, they are not much different. I thought we were going in order of salary, but we're going in order of fight, as we always do. Not sure why that was confusing to me, but 8,300 and 7,900, both salaries you can play. However, I would say the stronger floor and the bigger upside sits with Yong Yu. As long as he does not get hit too much and his defense, it's his offense that pretty much nullifies his opponent's offense, making fantastic defensive numbers for Yong Yu. So that's what we're going to be looking for here. I really like Yong Yu this week, and I will be playing him in all formats. Next fight, Yizha taking on Weston Wilson, and Yizha is the most expensive fighter on the card by like $500. I'm not even kidding. I forget who's 9,400, but Yizha is 9,900. Weston Wilson, coming off of his first and likely only win in the UFC against Jekasaregi, is the cheapest fighter on the card this week, and his line is plus 700 as we speak. It's probably closer to 750 at this point, but who really knows? We talked about percentile, guys. Look at these numbers. They are dog shit. He gets hit with almost 6 strikes a minute while landing far under 2. And look at his, finishes. 17 finishes in 17 fights. Wow. That is 100% finish rate as far as wins go. 12 submissions, however, 5 KOs. So we know what he's going to attempt. We saw it in the Jekasaregi fight. We saw it in all his other fights. And actually, he might be 1-2, and people give him shit as being one of the worst fighters on the entire UFC roster. But honestly, these losses are fucking crazy. Joe Anderson Brito and John Silva in your first 2 UFC fights is a pretty nuts strength of schedule. But then beating Jekasaregi, Jekka's terrible. So it's nice that he got a win, but what does it actually mean? Wilson landed no strikes in 2 minutes. Jekka landed 4. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. 1 of 3 takedowns, 35 seconds of control, and that's all he needed to finish the fight in just under 2 minutes. We do not expect that here against Yizha. You know why? 0 for 4 takedowns, 0 for 3, 2 for 13, 5 for 21, 6 for 9, 3 of 3. This dude, all he does, maybe this is where I got 53 takedowns. What do you think? You think this is going to add up to 53? I do. Let's find out together. There it is, 53. I knew I wasn't crazy making shit up. I just had the wrong fight. But yeah, 53 takedown attempts. He's landed 2, 7, 13, and 16 out of 53. That is an interesting number. That's a shitload of takedowns. And you would think that if you're taking guys down by, that many times and you have 14 professional subs yourself, that you are likely not going to get submitted by who is considered, one of the worst fighters on the entire roster. Now, that said, I think we have only 2 UFC fights here, Zhang Li in 2023 and Gabriel Santos in 2024. The rest are road to the UFC fights. Yeah, no DS fights, just the road to the UFC. So yeah, technically he has 2 fights in the UFC, 0-2. So Weston Wilson is the only one on this in this fight that has a UFC victory. So yeah, it's going to be spam takedowns from Yizha, and it's going to be Weston Wilson trying to throw up 55 triangles, 55 guillotines, 55 fucking darces, anaconda, whatever it is. He's going to throw the kitchen sink at it, and 155 arm bars. So that's probably what we're looking for here. Yizha, unlikely to get submitted, but you never know. Weston Wilson is almost a complete fade. We're not talking Michael Page level of fade, but we're there. I mean, in GPPs, you're playing 150s. What do you put him in 5 lineups? Maybe that's a little low, but maybe it's a little high too. Yizha, if you can afford him, play him. He's going to get takedowns here. What is Wilson's takedown defense? 33%. Not good at all. He gets out-grappled 83% to 17. And Yizha is 50-50 on the control time, but lands 1.18 takedowns per 5 minutes. Gets outstruck just barely, nothing compared to what Weston Wilson gives up. So these defensive numbers, dog shit. This one, dog shit. Control, dog shit. That's what we're looking for here. In fact, his only good defensive numbers is likely in categories in which he has not spent a lot of time. On the feet, leg striking, body striking, etc. So Yizha doesn't obviously have the most volume, not the greatest defense either. So this is a pretty volatile fight, not as high as some of the other ones on the card. But Yizha should definitely have a grappling edge, and as long as he doesn't get submitted, this could be a gigantic score he puts up. I mean, what does the calculation say he needs for optimal? It's now 3.15x is the average optimal value. 130 points. Could he get it here? Absolutely. So play him where you can. 9,900 is a steep ask, but it could end up being worth it. Next fight, Michel Pereira taking on the Darce Knight, Kyle Daukaus. Yes, he is back, ladies and gentlemen. The smaller Daukaus brother. And I'm going to have to go, man. So here's the thing. I see Michel Pereira's name, and I'm like, oh, man, that guy, not very good. He's looked terrible lately, and that's true. But it's against Abus Magomedov and Fluffy fucking Hernandez, who is dismantling any and everyone. Many people are saying this, that Fluffy has the best chance at, dethroning Khamzat Chimaev. That said, I don't think that's a very good chance. Yeah, maybe I picked Dricus late in the last fight. Maybe I did. Maybe I did. But I also used Lerone Murphy as my kill shot. So, those two things kind of balance out, right? But yeah, beats Ihor Potieria, Michael Oleksiejczuk, Petrosky, all in about 1 minute or less. Beats Santiago split decision, a fight that he may have barely lost on paper. Andre Fiallo, Nico Price, I mean, the list goes on and on. This dude was on a crazy-ass win streak. Kyle Daukaus ended his career in the UFC the first time, losing to Eric Anders by KO, ouch. And Roman Dolidze, who often goes to decision, lost to him in 1 minute, got knocked down twice, and that was about it. Beats Jamie Pickett, Dustin Stoltzfus, Michael Lombardo. Stoltzfus is probably his best win. Phil Hawes' loss is almost unforgivable. You don't just come out here and lose to Phil Hawes. So Michel Pereira, what is he going to do? Obviously, he's not as exciting, quote-unquote, unpredictable as he used to be, but it hasn't been like that for quite a while. Maybe that Fiallo fight, but he's still out here landing a ton of strikes per minute, extremely high volume, 10.8, 6.6, not in the fluffy fight, and, 5 strikes a minute against Magomedov, but that's all Magomedov does. Actually, no, Magomedov outstruck him, but shot 4 takedowns and then had a minute of control time. So let's look at his defense. Not great. No one has defense in this fight. None whatsoever. Kyle Daukaus actually has decent everything as far as offense goes. He's outstriking his opponents, landing about 3/4 of a takedown per 5 minutes, and then 61% of the control time is his. Over half a submission attempt per 5 minutes, guys. That is quite a few, and a ton of reversals as well. Both guys throw up a ton of submissions, actually. 0.24 is also a big number, not compared to 0.64, but you know what I mean. Pereira almost gets outstruck, not quite, 4.5 to 4.3. The takedowns are about half of what Daukaus lands, and the control time is flipped, 71% to 29%. Like I said, the defenses are garbage. The striking offense from Pereira is very good. Takedown defense is 76%, is serviceable, but let's kind of dive in a little bit further. 1 of 4, 10 of 29 for Fluffy. Fluffy might have just killed his number. 1 of 4, 0 of 2. Maybe actually the fact that Fluffy only landed 10 of 29 actually helps Pereira's number, because it's really not that good, to be quite honest. I mean, he's getting, let's see, not out taken down in any round per se, but just doing just enough to keep his head above water. Does get out controlled in 2 of the 3 rounds, that being rounds 1 and rounds 3. On the striking, it's a good thing he hits hard, because actually he's kind of a slow starter, 3.7, 4.9, and then 5.7. So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as Michel Pereira's round-by-round stats. Obviously, Kyle Daukaus, much more of a grappler / wrestler. Well, yeah, grappler compared to Pereira, just because of the numbers here. 2.7, 3.6, and 3.6 is all he's landing. He's getting hit with not too many. He does get outstruck in the second round, but he tampers that down back to about 2 strikes a minute in round 2. I don't know, man. I'm going to have to go with Pereira. This is an extremely difficult fight to come back to. 9,200 might be a bit much, especially when you find out he scores only 90 points per win, does Michel. He once scored 118, but once won a fight with 62 points. That is not going to be good. He fights guys like Potieria, 117, didn't even make optimal that week. He was 9,600, I guess. But still, sub 1 minute finish. Wow, sub 1 minute finish and didn't make optimal. That is crazy. But yeah, 117 against a terrible opponent, 102 against a not so great opponent, 74 against Ponzi, 80, 91, 62. These are not good numbers, guys. I would almost consider the Petrosky win and the Peteria win outliers at this point. Like, this dude is 9,200. He might not even 10x his salary if he does not finish Kyle Daukaus, who, by the way, is relatively difficult to finish. I know in 2 of his 4 UFC losses, he was finished by via KO TKO, but I mean, I guess Pereira is showing that he can do that. I mean, we're only two fights back from, I guess that is 2 submissions and a KO. So he's not likely to submit Kyle Daukaus. And if that's the case, he's only got 1 KO, TKO in his last 8 wins. So this one could get extended a little bit. I know it's minus 160 fight ITD, but man, what I'm seeing, this one could go a little bit long. Both guys have terrible defense, so maybe Daukaus gets hit, kind of crumbles a little bit. His Chindex is terrible, meaning he gets knocked down quite a bit, about 1.75 times for every 100 strikes he absorbs. And that's not going to be good when a guy's, hitting you with 4.5 strikes a minute. That said, the way Daukaus fights, it does not lend itself to a ton of offensive volume from his opponents. In fact, before we move on, who landed the most? I guess Eric Anders. Roman Dolidze 6.5 in 1 minute. Other than that, I mean, it's Hawes at 4.4, and everybody else is very, very low. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm picking Michel Pereira. Kyle Daukaus is probably better for DraftKings because he's not as expensive. Let me see what I wrote up here before we get out. I guess he could get a ceiling score, can Pereira, if he finishes the fight, but I think Daukaus is kind of live as an underdog, to be honest, at 7,000. Probably go a little bit overweight to Daukaus in case this does get extended, in which case, a decision could go either way. And at 7K, that's going to free up a ton of the salary at the top end to get, guys like Yizha in or anyone else we have that we're going to talk about in that range. So Michel's the pick. Kyle Daukaus is probably the only pick I really kind of want for DraftKings. Next fight, Rongzhu taking on Austin Hubbard. And let me check the salaries here for Rongzhu because he might be more expensive than he's ever been. Yeah, 7,100 against Cody Steele. And we had, what else? Where's his other one? 8,900 against Chris Padilla. I thought he had another. He did. 7,600 against Brandon Jenkins. And now you're telling me this dude is 9,100 against 7,100. That is freaking crazy. He is a minus 250 favorite, minus 220. Fight goes to decision, and that's exactly the information we were looking for, guys. Hubbard's a huge dog. I'm not saying play Daukaus and him in the same lineup, although maybe you could. I picked Austin Thud Hubbard straight up here. Rongzhu, I just don't trust. No defense, especially when it comes to striking, and it's not like Hubbard has tremendous striking, 3.87. I mean, that's decent. He's outstriking his opponent. Rongzhu is extremely high volume, 5.9 per minute, allowing 5.51. And how is he finishing fights? 22 out of 26 wins are finishes, most of them KO, TKO. Hubbard has been finished 3 times in his career, twice in the UFC, but all of them are by submission, guys. And yeah, Rongzhu does have 7 of those. But it seems that Austin Hubbard kind of knows what he's doing. He's going to be the better wrestler for the most part. Rongzhu does wrestle, 0.52 takedowns per 5 minutes, controls 61% of the grappling time. Hubbard's control time is about 50-50, has about the same takedowns landed per 5 minutes as Rongzhu. But I think, to me, it's these numbers here and the experience overall. Like, we obviously see better striking from Rongzhu. He's landing almost 6 a minute, like I just said. Takedown, leg, submission offense is even decent, although he doesn't attempt very many, but it is a bit more than Hubbard, just barely. But the defensive numbers here are worse than almost any defensive number that Austin Hubbard has put up. Plus 210 could be a very interesting number. Hubbard, 3.55 in the first, 4.2 in the second, and 3.9 strikes landed in the third. It's the takedowns, it's the control time that goes up each and every round, guys. That's what we are looking for. And what happens with Rongzhu? He allows a ton of takedowns and control time in the first, then squares that up a little bit in the second, and in the third, it's basically non-existent. He is landing 4.4, 5.5, and 8.71 shots per minute in the last round, rather. But as we just saw in the UFC, I mean, we have 8 fights here, right? His UFC DWCS record, I should also put road to the UFC record here, is 5-3, so he has 8 fights. But that is, oh, this is a UFC fight as well. I'm freaking blind. So 4 of them, 4? Really? 1, 2, 3? I'm just making shit up now. It's 3 of them are road to the UFC fights, these 3 right here. Other than that, he is, I guess, 2-2 in the UFC. His only wins, Cody freaking Steele and Brandon Jenkins. These 2 guys are terrible for the most part. Cody Steele got absolutely worked on. No takedowns, no control time there for Rongzhu, but he landed 8.3 strikes a minute and got it done in 15 minutes as a plus 300. What the fuck was his salary? I know we already looked at it. 7,100. That is dog shit for Cody Steele. He was 9,100 that week. Of course he's going to lose to Chris Padilla, right? Of course he's going to lose to Kazula Vargas, and Brandon Jenkins, I do not rate that win highly whatsoever. I mean, he got subbed by Ignacio, landed 4.1 strikes a minute to 10, almost 11. No takedowns, not much control time, still got submitted. So, you know, when he's fighting his road to the UFC guys or these debuting fighters or Brandon Jenkins, of course he's going to get wins. But when he steps up and actually fights UFC level competition, he does not even come close. In fact, he gets finished. Austin Hubbard, I'm not saying he's going to come out here and finish anyone. In fact, has he ever finished a fight in the UFC? Yeah, he finished Max Roshkopf in 2020. Other than that, they are decisions, but he's winning them pretty handily. I mean, 4.8 AWI, that's just a number, you know, who's winning the fight. That stands for ass whoop index. So a lower number obviously means it was a closer fight, whereas this number here means it was not as close of a fight. Same with the Kyle Prepelec. So we're not getting a ton of strikes per minute, obviously, from Hubbard, although 6 strikes a minute against Figlak is very good, even almost 6 against Hollabaugh, but we are seeing multiple big number takedown attempts in every single fight other than that Selecki one, which, you know, that makes a lot of sense. 5 against Prepelec, and a ton of control time. Where'd it go? I just threw myself off. Control time, there it is. So we're seeing decent numbers as far as control time goes. I mean, it could be better. These numbers are very good. So that's what we are looking for here. What does Rongzhu give up as far as control time? 3 minutes in the road to the UFC, 2.5, minute 21, minute 10. So he does give up control time. He does get taken down, yes or no? 2 of 10. 4 of 25, that was in a road to the UFC fight. 1 of 4 against Cody Steele. And that's exactly how I think this one's going to go, guys. I think Hubbard is going to land takedowns. It's going to be a relatively, quote-unquote, boring fight. If Hubbard can come out on the right side of a decision here, I think he has a very good chance to pay off that $7,100 salary. I don't think he's made the optimal lineup yet since Dakota Bush. 8,900, scored 95.6. But he's scoring very well per minute. 3.2, 4.6, 3.9, not against Hernandez. 2.75 against Medeiros, who nothing happens in that guy's fight, so you can't expect too much out of that. But I think he has the ability to get the win here. Play a little bit of Rongzhu in your GPP lineups, obviously. But I think Hubbard is good for all formats, and that's how we're going to play this one. Next fight, Lonnie Kavanagh taking on Charles Johnson, guys. And I love Charles Johnson here. I swear I might stop doing that at some point. Maybe I won't. I'll just keep doing it. Why not? Who needs to look at that anyways? Where is the fight? There it is. Yeah, we're going Skullet Gang for sure. $7,400 this week? Are you kidding me? At a minus 325 fight goes to decision. Guys, I'm liking a few underdogs on this card. I didn't pick Daukaus, but I said you could play him. Hubbard, you can play in any and all formats. Same with Charles Johnson. In fact, he might be one of my favorite low-end underdogs on this entire card. So his biggest weakness has been his takedown defense. 2, 3, 1. 0 for 11 was Jake Hadley. 2 for 7, 3 of 22, 11 of 18, 3 of 10. He is fighting guys like in Osborne, Durden, Estevam, Maxim, who are just going to rinse and repeat takedowns, and that is why his number looks so bad. 1 of 3 against Flick. Zhumagulov is taking people down. He's 1 of 4. That said, it's still almost 70%, guys, so it's not great, but it's not terrible. His offensive striking is good. There aren't many takedowns and not much control time from Charles Johnson, but that is not how he fights. He also, his best win right here, Joshua Van, surprising everyone as a plus 210. 8.5 strikes a minute, got hit with 6.5. That is a tremendously big number, but not for Joshua Van. It's not. Dude averages like 11 strikes per minute or some bullshit. Maybe not across, all rounds, but it's up there for sure. So that was a very impressive win and a very impressive finish as well. And that's why we're looking at Charles Johnson this week. If he can avoid getting taken down by Lonnie Kavanagh, who's 4 of 6 against Dos Santos, 0 of 2 against Ochoa, we assume he does not want to stand and strike with Charles Johnson. He might want to. He's got a bunch of knockouts, I think. Is that true? 4, not a bunch. 4 KO TKOs and 1 submission win. So yeah, he's got some power in his hands. He has landed 1 knockdown in the UFC WCS, and that would have been against Antoine Ho. But Charles Johnson is tough as shit. When's the last time he got knocked down? Azat Maxim? I guess he got knocked down there, but he still won that fight. And that's pretty much it, man. You don't want to stand and strike with this dude. He is pretty big for the flyweight division. He's going to have a 5-inch height advantage, 3-inch reach advantage as well. And again, the defense is pretty decent, allowing 3.62 per minute. That's about what Lonnie Kavanagh is landing. But it is the takedown defense for Johnson. It needs to be intact for this fight. If Kavanagh cannot get him down, I honestly think Johnson's going to win this fight. So I picked Charles Johnson to win. I think he is good in all formats. And yeah, that's how I'm going with this one. It's going to be a good fight. I don't know how I can really roster Lonnie Kavanagh at $8,800, at least a ton of him, when we're seeing a minus 325 fight goes to decision line. So what is Johnson's record in UFC decisions? 4-5. What is it lately? Let's see. 0 for 1, 1 of 1, 2 of 1, or no, 2 of 1, 3 and 1. Yeah, so it's about 50-50 in his last 10, maybe a little bit better. But that's kind of how I'm seeing this one. And we cannot play Lonnie Kavanagh on DraftKings at 8,800, guys. His average salary is 92, so he is cheaper than his usual, but we need 116 points out of him. And I don't see how we're going to get that. 88 against Dos Santos, 50 against Ochoa, and he would have put up 104 against Antoine Ho, in which he landed 15 strikes a minute. He's not going to land 15 fucking strikes a minute on Charles Johnson, so I don't see how he pays off this salary, even though we're not even in the 9K range. It's still too expensive for me. I like Charles Johnson here. One of my favorite underdogs on the card at 7,400. Let's get it done. Let's go, Charles. Skullet gang for life. I bet I could grow a skullet if I grew them. I am growing my hair out, apparently, just not on purpose. I'm just lazy and haven't shaved my head. So hopefully I won't have a skullet, but it could easily happen. Next fight, Gage Young taking on Maheshate. And this is a shit show. This is a shit show fight. Extremely high variance. I understand why Gage Young is the favorite, I guess. It's because Maheshate has no striking defense whatsoever. His takedown defense is 45%, controls 7% of the grappling time, and gets outstruck by about 2-1. Not 2-1. By 2 strikes a minute is what I was trying to say. Gage Young also gets outstruck by almost 2 strikes a minute. No takedowns. Gets out-controlled, 3-1. The defense is terrible, especially at distance. I mean, this 6.53 number is not a direct correlation, but it's in there. 45% striking defense compared to 54, just real bad. Takedown defense is terrible. I mean, it's not as bad as 45, but it's still pretty bad. And then the control time as well. So, I mean, Gage Young, who did he even fight? I don't even remember. Evan Elder, Quillen Saul killed in the DWCS, but he has been to decision twice, and I believe he's averaging about 30 points per loss. So that's not great. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not what you want out of a favorite fighter at 8,200, but Maheshate has too many holes in his game, man. I mean, he's what? He beat Steve Garcia. That's a great win. That's a really good win. But he did it very early. And then it's decision against Rafa, decision against Vyacheslav, or not decision, he got KO'd rather, and then lost to Nicholas Mata. So he's beaten Gabriel Benitez and Steve Garcia. Those are okay wins. What did he do in those fights? Tons of strikes per minute. That was the early finish. Got outstruck 8.07 to 6.47, but still ended up somehow winning this fight, even though on paper it says that he lost. I really don't know. I guess he edged out a third round or two close rounds, something like that. But he gets badly outstruck by Nicholas Mata, out-controlled as well, no takedowns there. He gets badly outstruck, almost 3-1 from Vyacheslav Borjas. Borjas actually had the control time in that one, 9 seconds to 0. And then he gets badly outstruck 2-1 against Rafa Garcia, 6 of 11 takedowns, 6 minutes of control. It's just not good. None of these numbers are good for Maheshate. I don't trust him whatsoever. That said, I don't trust Gage Young, really. These are two young fighters, no pun intended, that really have, not a lot of great experience in the UFC. I mean, Maheshate has the far more fight minutes, but it's not great. Gage Young's striking goes up in every single round, and the strikes that he gets hit with go down 7, 6.7, and then 5.9 in the third. None of those are good numbers. He's also getting taken down and controlled, especially in the second and third round, but Maheshate doesn't do that. This dude hasn't even landed one takedown, hardly any control time. It's going to be probably striker versus striker, and those fights do not score well at all unless we get a finish. Now, speaking of finish, the GTD line, nope, minus 130. So yeah, why would you want to play this fight at least a ton? Obviously, you're trying to get different in 150 lineups. You want to get a little different, play some of both sides. But honestly, don't overload on this one. I like Gage Young. I don't like him. I picked him to win. Super high variance fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Maheshate knocked him out. Wouldn't be surprised if Gage Young won a decision. I just don't care a lot about this fight. So I'll be playing a little bit, but I'm going to look for high ceiling performances, low floor performances elsewhere, because both of these guys have next to no defense, especially when it comes to striking. And there's no takedowns, like we said. There's no takedowns. There's no control time. There's no ground. There's no reversals. There's no clinch. There's no nothing except for stand-up. So the winner here could easily score 75 points. and they're not even going to 10x their salary at 8K. So, yeah, give me Gage Young because I guess I just trust Maheshate less somehow. I don't know. Next fight, here we go. I'm going to try my hardest, guys. I have not heard this name pronounced, not even once, so I have no idea. I'm a pretty good mimic. You know, I hear shit and I can repeat it pretty well. I hope I'm not cursing when I say, when I say his name in some language. I have no idea. I can say Super Saiyan Tailake Nueraji. There we go. I think I got, maybe. Kiefer taking it on Kiefer Crosbie, and this is clearly a Super Saiyan fight. Maybe we'll just call him Super Saiyan from now on. But yeah, I do not trust Kiefer Crosbie as far as I could throw him. He has not yet seen a second round in the UFC. I know he only has 2 fights. Kevin Jousset beat him less than 5 minutes. Sam Patterson beat him in less than 3 minutes. Both guys, I guess Patterson didn't outstrike him. It was even. But Crosbie, both guys landed takedowns on him. Both guys outcontrolled him. And both guys finished the fight via submission. So how many submissions does Nueraji have in his career? Just one. 10 KO TKOs, but hey, Crosby's also been finished that way outside of the UFC. So, minus 600 fight ITD, minus almost 500 on the favorite here. What are our salaries? It's like 93 and 6,900. That is correct. I got to go with the newcomer, Nueraji here. I mean, the defensive numbers for Crosbie are pretty bad. Lands a ton of strikes per minute, 6.27, gets hit with 5. That's nothing compared to the 11 per minute that Nueraji landed in his one, not even a UFC fight, but a road to the UFC fight. 11.01 strikes a minute, 73, in 6.5 minutes. But he did give up 7.39. So kind of a shit show here, to be completely honest. Like we said, 10 KO TKOs, which means he probably relies on his striking. Kiefer Crosbie does not land takedowns. He does not have control time. I think he's going to get finished here. I think there's a very strong possibility that happens. Fighter wins by KO TKO is minus 135 for Nueraji. And yeah, I absolutely love that. Definitely a must-target spot for sure towards the top of the division, or towards the top of the salary list, rather, at 9,300. And I'm probably not playing a ton of Kiefer Crosbie, although I will play a little bit just because some of these debuting fighters come in and look good until they don't. Aaron Pico. But yeah, hey, speaking of Aaron Pico, how about that Lerone Murphy kill shot, right? Woo, love it. But that was one of the only bright spots I had on that card, to be completely honest. Other than rostering Khamzat, that was a nice amount of points to get, but not quite enough because I picked like 4 losers. So anyways, I digress. Crosby's 0-2. Tailake is probably going to be 2-0 after this. Actually, 1-0 because of the road to the UFC fight. I forget. I do include those up here just because that way we have stats to go on. He would have scored 109 points, so that's pretty good in 6.5 minutes. So we do like to see that. I'm just blabbing at this point, man. Kiefer Crosby's done nothing that's been impressive. I mean, other than his extremely high striking rate at over 6 per minute. But again, that doesn't matter when you're getting submitted in the first round every single time you get into the cage. So I'm not expecting a submission here. But again, Crosbie has been finished via KO TKO in 2 of his professional fights. So it's Nueraji all the way for me. Hopefully we get an early finish, 9,300. Otherwise, he's likely not going to pay off that salary. Again, no wrestling. And just to be sure, no non-significant strikes whatsoever. So that's what we need if you're going to be a grappler making the optimal lineup at this high of a salary. If we don't have that, hopefully you can land the KO and pay that off. Because 9,300 is a big ask for a debuting fighter. And like Kiefer Crosbie or not, he's got, I was going to say 2 fights worth of UFC exposure, but it's more like, 7 minutes overall. So give me Nueraji, but again, another high variance, low level fight here. Wouldn't be surprised if Crosbie pulled off a miracle, but very unlikely in my opinion. Next up, we have Sumudaerji taking on Kevin Borjas, and this was kind of confusing at first, the ITD line, and you'll see here in a second, because these guys have a ton of finishes. 14 of 17 wins are finishes from Sumudaerji, and 8 of 10 are finishes from Kevin Borjas. Yet, we see a minus 240 goes to decision line, so that kind of raised red flags in my head, and it's because of this. 6 times Mudaerji has been finished. I knew it was a lot. I didn't know it was 6. 6 of 7 losses. They're all by submission, guys, and Borjas has 8 KO wins, no submission wins whatsoever. That is why this one is going to decision. Still plus, 2,500 to find a sub. in this one, plus 425 for the KO TKO line. But Nurgai is the slight favorite. He is 8,500 to Kevin Borjas 7,700, and Borjas surprisingly has made the optimal lineup in a win. He's got what, 2 wins? Is this true? Was one of them a DWCS fight? It was. So he's got 1 win, scored 73 points and made the optimal lineup. He was 7,700, guys. He didn't even 10x his value at 9.53. We must have had a ton of winners or a ton of expensive fighters win, ton of favorites, and that's how, he found his way optimally. But that is not a good score, not something you want to put in your DraftKings lineups. And we're at the same salary here at 7,700. Now, Sumudaerji, this is just going to be a striking fight, guys, right? There's no takedowns. There's no control time from either guy. Like, literally none from Kevin Borjas. 5.1 gets outstruck, absorbs 6 strikes a minute. 4.4 and 2.63 absorbed from Sumudaerji. So, Sumudaerji, obviously, with the much better defense, 60%. Compared to just 51%. These numbers are very good. These numbers are good. These numbers are good. And these numbers are dog shit. So I'm picking Sumudaerji to get the win here. Not really looking forward to rostering this as far as DFS goes. Again, we have no takedowns, no control time for either guy. The defense from Sumudaerji, again, very good, but not takedowns, not control time. But we don't care because Borjas doesn't fight like that. So if this goes all 3, I am not excited for the winning score. 3.3 strikes a minute, 5.2. Nose hair issue, sorry. Not picking my nose. You can zoom in. 5.1 landed in the 3rd round. And Borjas improves his striking by a shitload every single round. Almost 2 strikes a minute from 2 to 3. And over that in 1 to 2. 3.1, 5.4, and 7.3. Again, no takedowns, no control time. And he gives up a ton of strikes, as we said. Only 3.2 in the first, but 8 in the second and 7 in the third. What is he fighting? Josh Van in every single fight? Come on. What are we doing here? Sumudaerji beats Mitch Raposo, loses to 2 decent fighters and Matt Schnell. That Schnell one was insane. Probably a fight of the year candidate, or definitely a fight of the year candidate. No shame in the Charles Johnson loss, and really no shame in the Tim Elliott loss either. In fact, Kevin Borjas did fight Josh Van and gave up 10.5 strikes a minute, 2 takedowns, and a minute of control time. Against Alessandro Costa, he got finished in 6.5 minutes, and then he beats Lazy Boy Rodriguez. I don't put a lot into that fight as far as like DraftKings stock, because Ronaldo Rodriguez, I mean, maybe he has a game plan, but I don't even know if he knows that word. He just goes out there and does whatever the fuck he wants, and it didn't work out great for him in that fight. Now, did it? Sumudaerji, I mean, there's not much else to say, guys. He gets taken down in every fight. Every single fight except Adeshev for the most part, and I guess these 3 overall. But again, Borjas is not doing that. And we have no DraftKings upside on either side. 78.5 per win, 76.5 per win. I do not care about this fight for DraftKings. I think I put it as a 2-star fight, and we are not really focusing on playing this mid-salary fight here between 85 and 7,700. So I'm picking Sumudaerji for the experience, the striking upside, and the much better striking defense. The much, much better striking defense. Borjas can win, but a decision, it's going to be pretty difficult there. I mean, he's 2-1 in decisions, 3-1 for Sumudaerji. I just don't see it from Borjas here. So I'm expecting a relatively boring fight. The winning score somewhere between 75 and 85, with neither guy 10xing their salary. So give me Sumudaerji, but we're not playing a ton of this one, and we're definitely not playing it in cash. Here's another one that we're probably not playing in cash. Is going to be Waldo Cortez-Acosta taking on Sergey Pavlovich. Pavlovich is going to be the big favorite, 8,900 to 7,300. And what is our line? -225, -210 fight ends inside the distance, and the +190 return on WCA. We've seen this fight, right, guys? I mean, we cannot directly compare Sergey Pavlovich to Robelas to Spain, but we can kind of do it. Pavlovich is not going to, outside. I mean, I guess he shot 2 of 2 on Rosenstruik, 1 takedown shot on Volkov, but other than that, it's zeros up and down the board. And Robelas isn't attempting takedowns. He's just a hard hitter, and that's exactly what Sergey Pavlovich is. So 3 of 4 takedowns landed by WCA in that fight, 10 minutes of control time, and Robelas did a lot of fucking nothing. 1.73 strikes per minute. If Pavlovich doesn't win this early, or if he gets taken down, he's going to have a difficult time paying off that $8,900 salary. So he's got to come out really heavy. Obviously, we know what he's going to do. There aren't hardly any takedowns. He does control most of the control time he's involved in at 78, 79%, which is impressive. And there's not a ton of takedowns landed for Cortez-Acosta either, but unlike whoever we just talked about I don't even know, who was it? Oh, it was Ronaldo Rodriguez against Borjas. He does know what game plan means, and he has one. I still don't think he won the Sergey Spivak fight, but on paper, he definitely did. He outstruck Sergey 2-1, more than 2-1, was taken down twice and controlled for 2.5 minutes, but Sergey was not able to come close to a finish, and that's what you got to do against Waldo Cortez-Acosta, or he's just going to slowly piece you up on the feet. The Ryan Spann win is good. Arlovsky, Breshki, you got to beat these guys that I'm clicking on. Vandera, Sherman. Loses a very close fight to Rogerio de Lima. He still outstruck him, but was taken down 3 times himself. But no one is attempting takedowns on Cortez-Acosta other than really Sergey Spivak. So Waldo should come out here with a grappling or wrestling-heavy game plan, I assume. Try to get Pavlovich off of his feet. He's going to have to get inside, probably eat a shot or two. But if he gets him on the cage and gets his arms around him, he could take Pavlovich down, who somehow I think has 100% takedown defense. No, he doesn't. 75. Who took him down? Alistair Overeem, that's right. 1 of 2. There's only been 2 other attempts, Abdurakhimov and Curtis Blades. 1 each. Neither of them were successful, but Overeem got him down once before he got knocked the fuck out. So, man, Acosta's it's gonna be tough, but you got to get Pavlovich off of his feet. If you don't, it's going to be quite a long night. I mean, Volkov pieced him up, 5.5 strikes a minute. Aspinall, I mean, he's the fucking champ. He pieced him up with no takedowns. Cortez-Acosta could piece him up. 7.3, 6.7, 3.5, 5, 5.5. But why would you want to stand with Sergey Pavlovich? I mean, we know Volkov did it, 15 minutes. Aspinall did it, and that fight lasted a minute. But Pavlovich, I mean, you definitely want to play him in your lineups. I'm not playing him in cash whatsoever. 144 points he scored once. 85 is his low, and then 114 is his average. The average for Cortez-Acosta is not good. 89 points. He put up 121, but also scored 49 in a loss. But guys, he's only $7,300 this week. He needs 95, almost 96 points. That's it to hit that 13.15x number. It's not a guaranteed optimal, obviously, but that is the average for optimal fighters since 2021. I mean, he put up 74 against Spivak, 110 against Spann. That was a finish. 99 against Despain. That's a great number. If he can replicate this game plan against Pavlovich, get 3 takedowns or something, get several minutes of control time, not get stood up very much, keep it busy on the ground so he can stay there. He can replicate this score. He can 13.7x his value or his salary, and he can make the optimal lineup. What we can't have is this: 50 points per win. 106 against Breshki. Those dudes are terrible. So, yeah, he's going to have to get takedowns. You do not want to stand and strike with Pavlovich. Obviously, I think I already said this. We're playing Pavlovich because of the obvious reasons. These numbers right here and this huge power index right here. Other than that, Cortez-Acosta has very good striking as well. Lands more volume than Pavlovich, which isn't surprising coming from a knockout guy compared to, an attritional guy, and gives up fewer strikes per minute. It's the takedowns that are going to have to go up, and I assume he's going to have a grappling-heavy game plan in this one. If he doesn't, it could really go either way. I feel like I'm just repeating myself now. I picked Waldo Cortez-Acosta to win this fight. That might be real fucking stupid. It might really be real dumb. But at 7,300, I just think he has a better chance of scoring more points if this gets out of the first round, right? I mean, it's minus 210 fight ITD. How many finishes does Cortez-Acosta have? 7 out of 14. He's been to his fair share of decisions. 8 of them in the UFC, only 3 finishes. And he's really only finishing the guys, that he's supposed to. Ryan Spann, high variance fight always against Ryan Spann. Lucas Breshki's terrible. And then he finished Stewart, and that was in the DWCS fight. So really only 2 finishes in the UFC. I could easily see this getting past the 1.5 minute mark, but he has to survive the first round, and he cannot take too many shots from Pavlovich. I understand, you slip, you get hit with 1 or 2. That might be all it takes for Pavlovich. So big GPP fight here. Waldo Cortez-Acosta is probably good in all formats, mostly GPPs though, because it's just going to be a bit, what if Pavlovich lands the freaking kill shot? You know what I mean? You're going to want Pavlovich in your lineups, and you're not going to want a ton of Costa. So I'm definitely going with Costa here, and I think I'll have a little bit more of him in DraftKings, but with Pavlovich at 8,900, I don't see why you can't just go 50-50. I probably won't be 50-50. I rarely like to do that. I like to have a lean on one side or the other, and this week my lean is Waldo Cortez-Acosta. Again, that could be extremely stupid, but that's how I'm going with this one. Next fight, co-main event, guys. Aljamain Sterling taking on Brian Ortega. And yeah, I've got Aljamain Sterling in this one. You got to target this fight. And I think most of it has to be Aljamain Sterling. These numbers are fantastic. Almost all of them are in the 50th percentile or better. Actually, much better than the 50th percentile. Brian Ortega gets outstruck tremendously, 4.08 to 6.59. We're not too worried about that with Sterling, but Sterling's defense is fantastic, so I'm not expecting 4 strikes a minute from Ortega. The power is there for Ortega, as Sterling has yet to land a knockdown in the UFC. 0.84 takedowns per 5 minutes for Sterling to Ortega's 0.36. And Sterling controls 64% of the grappling time compared to Ortega's 47.5%. The defense is pretty bad for Ortega. 55% takedown defense, no striking defense whatsoever. And again, all of these numbers are fantastic for Aljamain Sterling. We know the finishes. Both guys have 8 professional submissions. Both guys have 4 in the UFC. But yet we see a minus 270 line for Sterling and a plus 230 comeback here. We have no props. At least I didn't at like 4 o'clock this afternoon when I updated the lines. But who does Sterling struggle against, guys? Evloev, a tremendously good grappler, more of an offensive grappler than Brian Ortega, who I would consider more of a defensive grappler for the most part, though he has had times, especially early on, I guess middle of the road. 11 takedowns versus Holloway, takedown attempts rather, 10 versus Chan Sung Jung. Those guys are both heavy strikers. Of course he's going to go for more takedowns. Volkanovski has wrestling, but he attempted 5. Rodriguez has grappling. He attempted 5, 6 in that one, only 2 against Lopez. Movzar is much more offensively minded. 6 out of 8 takedown attempts landed on Sterling, and he won that fight. It was an extremely close fight, though. 4 of 5 landed from Sterling, and the control time was almost identical, guys. Sean O'Malley, striker, of course, he got the knockdown there. Other than that, if you're not going to knock down Aljamain Sterling and you're not going to land 6, has Brian Ortega ever landed 6 takedowns in a fight? I would find that very surprising if he did. I don't think he has. So if you're not going to do that to Aljamain Sterling and you're not going to knock him out, I don't know what the hell you're going to do to win. Sterling, the control time is ridiculous. His backpack skills are ridiculous, and he puts that body triangle on you. Ortega's going to get even more tired than he usually does. He's going to slow down, and he's just going to get dominated, I think, on the ground for the most part. Aljo does not tend to make too many mistakes on the ground. But what is most important about this, and I know what this says, and it is wrong. I have not updated it because this is a 5-round fight. That is humongous news for Aljamain Sterling backers this week. Let's just go down and look how he's scoring. He's made optimal lineup in 4 of 5 wins. Fantastic. 101 average. Once put up 151 in a win. His low is 81. 9K this week, 7,200 for Ortega. I wanted to see how he was looking in 5-round fights, what he was scoring in those. Henry Cejudo, he put up 121, 15x value. Dillashaw, 151, made optimal lineup. Peter Yan, the rematch, 85.9, made the optimal lineup. He was extremely cheap that week. This one, the DQ, whatever. And stop hating on Aljamain Sterling. That's not his fault. He ate that knee. His friends told him to hold the belt. Stop hating on him. 95 against Sandhagen. That was a 3-round fight, and that's all I wanted to look at. I just wanted to see the 5-rounders. So he is scoring incredibly well per minute. Actually, raw DraftKings points per minute. 3.6, 9.3, 2.2, 3. So he's kind of a little bit all over the place, but it is pretty consistent to say the least. Whereas Ortega, 1.7, 3.6. Decent showing against Yair. 2.8, 3.5, 2.4. So they are much lower than Sterling's numbers on average, guys. Sterling also increases his striking from rounds 1 to round 2, and then 2 to 3 is relatively consistent. He does dip a little bit, but after that, it's 4.7, 4.5. Much better than you would expect, is my point. While Ortega increases his striking a ton, but his grappling stays pretty consistent. That said, he's not going to land 5.5 strikes a minute on Sterling. He's not going to land 4 strikes a minute on Sterling. This dude gives up 1 to 2 strikes per minute in every single round other than round 4 and round 5 where he eats a little bit more. But again, who was he fighting in those fights? It was Movzar, and it was not Sean O'Malley. It would have been Cejudo, Dillashaw. Peter Yan is probably the ones where he gave up the most strikes in those later rounds. So he did go into at least the 4th round with him twice. So I like Sterling here a ton. I don't see what Brian Ortega is going to do. These numbers are terrible. The defensive numbers are real bad. And even though his takedown defense is decent, percentile wise, it's only 55.5%, as we said at the top. Now, the reason why it's a decent number here and a shit number there is because I have other stats worked into this takedown defense number other than just actual takedown defense. It's like takedown pace and a couple of other things go into it. So, how many times does someone attempt takedowns on you? If they don't really attempt a lot, your number is going to look better because they're scared to do it or they're knocking you out. We know they aren't knocking him out, at least early. They just don't want. Why would anyone want to attempt takedowns against Brian Ortega for the most part, unless your name is Aljamain Sterling, because you have a tremendous grappling advantage here. So give me Aljamain Sterling. I like him in all formats this week. I believe I had him as all formats. And actually, I'm fading Brian Ortega. I don't see how this dude is going to be better anywhere compared to Aljamain Sterling. So give me Aljo. Let's freaking go, Funkmaster. And 5-round fight. You could even stack this one. You really could. Although I think I wrote about that in my write-up, but the more I think about it, the more I think Sterling's just going to kind of dominate this dude, to be honest. So I don't mind a little stack. Maybe you get lucky and Ortega scores 30 points. But like we already said, there's some pretty low-priced underdogs here, and I don't know that you're necessarily going to have to do that. What were the salaries again? $9K and $72. So Ortega is one of those pretty low salaried underdogs this week. So personally, I might rather have Charles Johnson. I might rather have Austin Hubbard, if Austin Hubbard gets a win, of course. But I just don't know that Ortega scores very well. So the stack could be in play. I'm probably not looking at it this week, although my write-up might say the opposite. But again, the more I think about it, the more I just don't like it. So give me Aljamain Sterling to get the job done. I think he wins 4 or 5 rounds minimum and probably puts up a serviceable number, like well over triple digits. So that's my plan here. That's my plan of attack. Let's go, Funkmaster. We did it, guys. Main event of the evening, Zhang Mingyang taking on Johnny Walker. And this is a matchup that is very interesting to look at on paper, as both guys have terrible striking defense. Johnny Walker specifically has just terrible defense everywhere. Like, this dude, he only gives up 3.12 strikes a minute. But you see his numbers very, very poor here. It's because of his Chindex. Again, as we said, that is a knockdown metric that I created. I didn't create the equation probably. I thought of it, but that doesn't mean other people didn't think of it first. But still, I came up with this 2.22 knockdowns per 100 significant strikes absorbed. So that is a huge number. 2.22 might not seem like a lot, but it is a gigantic number. He gets taken down 3-1. He gets out-controlled 3-1. It's just bad. And he gets comically, brutally knocked out in almost every single loss. Volkan Oezdemir, Magomed Ankalaev knocked this dude out. This dude doesn't knock anybody out for the most part. Well, that's not true, but at least a little bit lately. People don't like him because he's quote-unquote not exciting, but I swear people like the weirdest shit. Anthony Smith didn't get the finish there, but he did win by decision. Knocked down and knocked out Paul Craig. And that's the last time he had a knockdown, guys. 2023. Jamal Hill finished him. Krylov went all 15 with him. So, he's only lost 5 of his last 10. We did have a no contest against this Magomed Ankalaev fight here. And Zhang Mingyang has not fought the best competition, let's be honest. Tuco Tokos, Brendan Hibeto, Ozzy Diaz, Anthony Smith. But they are getting, a little bit better and a little bit better each and every time. Smith, obviously, the biggest name that Zhang Mingyang's beaten. But this is how you build a guy, right? You give him a couple, and then you give him like Anthony Smith, who's retiring. Then you give him Johnny Walker, who does nothing but get fucking finished, basically, in the UFC. And it has happened 4 times. 4 times in his 6 losses, he has been KO'd, TKO'd, and now you're fighting Zhang Mingyang, who's a minus 305 favorite. That's probably going up, and the fight is a minus 1,400 ITD line. Just play this fight. Play almost 100% of this fight. Clearly, I'll be on the Zhang Mingyang side much heavier than I will be on Johnny Walker, not only because I'm picking him to win, but because, like we just saw, Johnny Walker loves getting knocked out, and he has no fucking defense whatsoever. We shouldn't see any takedowns in this fight unless Walker is the one landing them. When is the last time he landed a takedown anyways? When's the last time he even attempted one? 1-for-1 against Smith, 1-for-1 against Kutalaba. Those are both wins, and that's it in his last 10 fights. So how many times has someone tried to take down Zhang Mingyang? Just twice. Tuco Tokos in the road to the UFC fight, and then Anthony Smith attempted one before he got finished there. But this dude lands so much freaking volume. 9 strikes a minute, 10, 7, 15 and a half. Yeah, we don't need control time, but he still gets a few seconds here and there, and his opponents get 0. Smith had 16, otherwise it's 0-0, and I guess Daukaus did control him for 42 seconds, but that's kind of what Daukaus does. He's, more of a grappler, wrestler type of guy. Both of these guys, 89th percentile as far as DraftKings points per win, 76 for Johnny Walker. So when they win, they make optimal in 2 out of 3 times. Ming Yang's never lost, and Walker has put only one opponent optimal. Who was that? Because he loves getting knocked out. It was Volkan Oezdemir. Ankalaev scored how many points on him? 95, but he was 9,400 that week. Let's see. Jamal Hill scored 102, but he was 9K. And Santos won a 5-round fight against Walker and scored 47 points, guys. There was 67 points in this fight, 66.8 to be exact, in a 25-minute fight. No wonder I don't remember it. How fucking forgettable is that? Krylov put up 105. That was pre-DraftKings changing their salaries and whatnot, so we don't even have a value there. But Johnny Walker loves giving up points. That's what he's going to do. What else do we even need to look at here? I mean, you're going to be rostering this fight. We could look at the round by round, I guess. Oh, it's a lot for Zhang Mingyang, right? No, 10.9. He's never been out of the first round. Not even close. Walker, his numbers go down in pretty much every round, especially in the championship rounds. His offense becomes non-existent. I think he's only had the one against, who was it? Probably, it was that boring-ass fight against Thiago Santos. So, yeah, nobody did shit in that round. I mean, 1.8, 2.2, 1.6, and 2. Just awful. So let's get rid of those. Striking goes down pretty much every round. The takedowns control time start okay. Then there's no more takedowns. Control time goes down. Then there is pretty much nothing as well in the third round. So we're not really expecting too much of that. But if Johnny Walker was smart, before he gets knocked out comically, he should at least attempt one takedown. But again, he doesn't really do that. 1 of 1 against Smith and 1 of 1 against Kutalaba. So if he was smart, he would go for that. He's probably not that smart. I don't know. Maybe he is. I shouldn't have even said that, but it's just hard to think of someone being smart when they're getting knocked out with their arms up like that. So that was a good impression, right, guys? Give me Zhang Mingyang to get the win, and I don't have a ton more to say about this one. Like, he's the one I'm going to want to roster more of. I will have a bit of Johnny Walker, but I don't think it's really worth a lot of ownership here. Zhang Mingyang also should be noted, the second most expensive fighter on the card, but he's still $500 in salary, cheaper than the highest one, which I believe was Yizha against Weston Wilson. So, yeah, Zhang Mingyang, good in all formats, guys. Yes, even in cash in this extremely volatile fight, because I just think he's going to knock out Johnny Walker. So give me Mingyang to win the fight. These defensive numbers are just so bad, you can't possibly trust them. These offensive numbers are good, and these defensive numbers are not good. So anything could happen. Again, highly volatile, relatively low level, light heavyweight, the main event here. Somehow, I think I trust Zhang Mingyang just a little bit more. And really, it's not even that I trust him more. I just don't trust Johnny Walker at all. So give me the favorite here to get the win, and that is going to do it. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching the show. We are wrapped up. There's only a couple things left to do, and that is to pick the kill shot for UFC Shanghai. Go to dfsarmy.com, get all of our picks, all of our write-ups. We have our kill shots there as well, some strategy. Definitely check that out this week, and hit the like on this video as well. Just do it. I didn't even ask for it before, and I don't know why. I just knew you were going to do it anyway, so thank you so much for doing that. Kill shot this week. I have Sniper's kill shot. It is an underdog pick, first of all, so everyone settle the fuck down. 7,400 Charles Johnson this week. I love that play. I really, really love it. We both picked Charles Johnson to win over Lonnie Kavanagh. As long as he can stuff those takedowns, this is a great, great kill shot. Very high volume, very good accuracy from Johnson, and he's just an all-around good fighter, guys. If he improved his takedown defense at all, this should be a great, great pick at 7,400. I love it, Sniper. I absolutely love it. We're on board. Now, I could have gone a couple different ways. I could have gone with an Austin Hubbard, who I talked up a little bit. I could have gone with who else? I mean, that's probably about it. But I settled on, actually, there was somebody else I talked up a little bit. Who cares? I don't remember. I went with WCA, Waldo Cortez-Acosta. Now, if you're going to tell me that that's too high owned, I don't believe you, first of all, because Pavlovich is going to be at like 40%. However, Acosta's never been knocked out, I think. I'm not looking at my stats. I probably said that earlier. All he has to do is survive a couple of big shots, big haymakers from Pavlovich, and then get this dude on the ground. he is going to not only win, but pay off his very, very cheap $7,300 salary. So I'm going with WCA. Sniper would probably agree with me. He also picked Waldo Cortez-Acosta to win. I love that. So it's Charles Johnson for Sniper, and it is WCA for me. And that is going to do it, guys. Again, hit the like on this video. Thank you so much for checking it out. Thank you for, not complaining too much when you see that it's just me solo. And I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe we have a week off next week. I believe it is one of our first weeks off in quite a long time. So I'm not going to lie, kind of looking forward to just relaxing, getting some stat stuff done early, and then not thinking about anything all week long. So thank you so much again for watching. Hit the like on this video. Helmets up. Be sure to post your results in the Discord, and get on over there to check out all the comedy, the nonsense, and sometimes the crazy shit that happens in the Discord. So check it out. Thanks again, and we will see you in the next one.